You know, we really believe that to have a thankful home, you need to have a thankful heart. It starts in each and every one of us. The Lord says that if we'll bring our needs to Him with thanksgiving in our hearts, that in return He will give us His peace, His glorious peace. A thankful heart creates a thankful home. You can overcome any problem if you start with a thankful heart.
A thankful.
Hello, welcome to Throne of Grace. My name is Boa Ferreira. Today I'm going to talk about how to live a good life, a good Christian life. A Christian life should not be a boring life, it should be an exciting life, it should be a bubbling life, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Today I'm going to talk from the book of Romans. The book of Romans. The book of Romans is the ABC of the Bible, ABC of the New Testament. Romans chapter 7, verses 9 and 10. I'm reading from Good News today. I'm reading from Good News, verses 9 and 10. It says, I myself was once alive apart from the law. This is somebody talking, called Paul. He was talking about his life before the law came into his life. Before he came to have knowledge of the law, when he was a child, when he was growing up. Every child born in this world is still alive. That's why they do things innocently. It never occurred to them that something is wrong or right. Until you tell them it's wrong, then they die. They know something is wrong. But without the knowledge of the law, they are always alive. So this is what Paul is trying to say here. He said, I was once alive apart from the law. That means when the law had not come into his life, he was alive. He was bubbling. He was enjoying his day-to-day life. He was enjoying his activity. There was no guilt. There was no guilty conscience. There was no self-condemnation. There was no condemnation of any kind. He felt justified by what he was doing. He felt happy about what he was doing. There was nothing to make him feel sad or have a rethink about his action. He said, I was once alive. I was once alive. I think we need to go back to this time of our lifestyle where you have to be alive again. That I was once alive apart from the law. But when the law came, confusion started in his life. He began to know that something was wrong. He began to be conscious of so many things. He knew that the devil was around. He knew that if he does something, he was going to be hurt. If he should take an attempt on anything, he was going to be hurt, or he was going to be punished, or he was going to be judged. So before the law came into his life, before he recognized anything called the law, he was alive. He was alive, he was bubbling, he was enjoying his Christian life. He could climb the mountain, he could jump anything, he could touch anything, and there was no fear behind it. He did it with all innocence. But when the law came, something went wrong. Let's look at that scripture again. I myself was once alive apart from the law. But when the commandment came, when the law came, 10 commandments, our mother's rules and regulation, our father's rules and regulation, our parents, our teachers' do's and don'ts. When it came and I recognized it, he said, when the commandment came, sin sprang out of his life. Sin became alive. Sin came alive. So one of the essence of the law is to make sin to come alive. It makes you to be conscious of sin. It makes you to recognize that there is something called sin in your life. It makes you to recognize sin. It makes sin to become important in your life. It makes sin to gear up his head and become recognized in your life. But when the law was not there, sin was a nobody. Sin was not recognized. Sin was not anything important. In fact, sin, as far as he knew when he was alive, was not in existence. So he was once alive apart from the law. But when the law or the commandment came, sin came up. Sin came from nowhere and became an authority in his life. became an authority in his life. So which kind of life do you want? Is it the one you were once alive, or the one that sin springs alive, or the one that has to do with consciousness of sin, condemnation of sin, guilt of sin, and guilt of conscience, or guilty conscience? Is that the kind of life you want? But here Paul is saying there is a kind of life that is alive apart from the law. There's a kind of life that is alive apart from the law, before commandment came. So he says, I myself was once alive apart from the law, but when the commandment came, sin sprang to life, and I died. That means it became non-existence. Sin took the preeminence. Sin took the preeminence in his life. His spirit man was supposed to be alive. But when the commandment came, he recognized do's and don'ts. Thou shalt not do this. Thou shalt not touch that. Thou shalt not drink this. Thou shalt not say this. He died. His spirit man died. His spirit man became inactive. His spirit man became low-ebbed. His spirit man became so doused, so low, so suppressed that he was not alive. He was not enjoying his life again. The spirit man that was bubbling, that was moving around, became inactive. And sin was the one who became alive in his life. Sin became the one that took the preeminence. So that tells me something. That if I can get rid of sin out of my life, my spirit man will come back to life again. I will bubble again. And the only way I can take sin out of my life is to stop living by the law. The only way I can stop sin in my life, that's the grace. That's what grace does. Grace stops sin. So the only way I can live by grace, or the only way I can stop sin in my life, is to stop recognizing law in my life. Once I stop recognizing the law in my life, my spirit man will come back to life. I will enjoy the bubbling life I used to enjoy when I was a small child. I will enjoy the innocence I used to enjoy when I had no knowledge of the law. That is the simple principle here that God is trying to teach us there. So the only way is to technically knock out the law. Once I technically knock out the law out of my life, sin dies. Sin becomes unimportant, because the strength of sin is the law. Where there is law, there will be sin. Sin will become the ruler. Sin will become the boss. So if I have to deal with sin in my life, then I have to deal with the law. You cannot deal with sin by directly dealing with sin. You will commit more sin. You will have more condemnation, and you will have more judgment, and your Christian life will become woeful. But in order to enjoy a bubbling Christian life and deal with sin, that law that came alive, that I became known of, that I knew, that made sin to come alive, needs to die. So God nailed the law when Jesus died on the cross. Hallelujah. God nailed the law on the cross when Jesus died on the cross. That's number one. Then number two is the fact that you need to take out the law. One of the ways you have to take out the law out of your life to deal with sin is to stop living by the law. That's the simple logic. Stop living by 10 commandments. Stop living by do's and don'ts. Stop living by the 10 commandments. Stop living by the handwriting of ordinances written against you. They were written against you in the first place. So the two of you cannot cohabit together. It's not possible. The two of you do not have the same vision. The law from outside looks so good. It looks like if everybody obeys the law, the world will be very, very good. The world will be a good place to live in. But actually, if everybody starts living by the law, there will be more chaos, because the law is against everybody. And the devil uses the law to condemn us. The devil uses the law to pull us down, to make us to have a sad life, a depressed life, a sad life, a dejected life, a woeful Christian life. So, number one, you have to stop living by the law. The law seeks by obeying the law, you are seeking to impress God. No, you can't impress God. You can't impress God. So to have a bubbling life, the secret is that the law must come to an end in your life. Stop living by the law. Stop living by the law. You need to start living by grace. You need to start living by the revelation of what Christ has done in your life. That is the key. Keep looking at Jesus. Keep understanding by his stripes I'm healed. Keep focusing on he has blotted away my sins. He has forgiven me of my sins. Keep looking at the glory of Jesus as in a glass. The more you see Jesus, the more your Christian life becomes bubbling. The more your Christian life becomes bubbling. The law was taken away so that conscience, guilty conscience, can be removed. That's the simple principle. It's working for me. It's working for me every day. I don't live. That's why I don't have I don't have guilty conscience. I make sure the devil does not put in guilty conscience in my life or in my heart. So by removing the law, it says I was once alive when the law did not come. 2 is a company, 3 is a crowd. The law is one of the ones that brings the crowdness. The law brings the crowd. The law is the third person that is a crowd between you and God. So once you remove that law out of your life, sin dies. And when sin dies, what happens? Your spirit man comes alive again. And when you make mistakes, the devil tries to bring the law back. Reject that law because you know that God has forgiven you all trespasses. That is the key. That is the key of a bubbling Christian life. So to live a bubbling Christian life, you need to remove that law. As long as you continue to live by rules and regulation, wear this, don't wear this, talk like this, don't talk like this, behave like this, don't behave like this, sleep at this time, wake up at this time, pray this time, don't pray at this time, speak in tongues now, don't speak in tongues now. By the time you begin to follow the laws, sin will become powerful in your life, and your spirit man that was alive will die out. Your spirit man and the law cannot live together because it brings a third party into the sin. So in order for your spirit man to come alive, remove the law out of your life. That is the key. God bless you as you listen to this. See you next time. Bye.